Plan and Spend by Texas A&M University, Kingsville, Title V, I Care Grant. This material is not intended to constitute any tax, investment, or legal advice. If you need investment, legal, tax advice, and/or credit counseling, please consult with a professional within those areas. These are topics around budgeting and planning in general, but today we'll be talking about how to track and control your money, how to decide if you really need to spend money on something, meeting financial goals, and developing healthy financial habits. Track and control your money. In this section, we will learn about spending plans, cash flow statements, different ways of tracking your money, and the importance of keeping your financial records up to date. A spending plan, some people might use the term budget, helps you keep track of how you're spending your money. Keeping your spending on track can help you reach your life goals, whether that's going on a spring break trip or buying a house. It helps you match up your income and expenses so that you don't end up spending more money than you have. That may cause you to go into unnecessary debt. For example, if you have to use a credit card to pay for groceries because you've run out of money by the end of the week or month. Another good reason is to avoid expensive financial mistakes. For example, not keeping track of your money may lead to overdrawn accounts, which means you've tried to take more money out of your account than you have in the account. When this happens, your debit card may be declined, and stores may not take your checks. If you've gone over your credit limit on a credit card, it may be declined as well. All of these can end up costing you more money as overdraft, late, and/or return check fees. Start by listing all of your income for one period of time, either a month, a semester, or a year. Income can include your paychecks, financial aid refund, and cash from family members. Then list all of your expenses for the same period of time and compare the two. This can be challenging at first, especially as a college student, because your income and expenses can be unpredictable or irregular. If your income is irregular, do your best to figure out an average amount that you can count on for a period of time. Large amounts of money, such as financial aid refund, can be put into your bank account and budgeted out for an entire semester. Don't spend it all at once. For irregular expenses, those that may occur every few months or every semester, like tuition or insurance premiums, you'll need to figure out how much to set aside from each paycheck or each amount of income to be able to cover that expense when it's due. If, after you compare, your expenses are greater than your income, in other words, you're spending too much money, maybe by relying on credit cards, it's definitely time to take a good look at where you're choosing to spend your money. One common error that can throw your spending off course is forgetting to save. It's a good idea to pay yourself first by putting some money into savings for unexpected expenses and for working toward your financial goals. Another common error is forgetting to allow for a little wiggle room in life. For example, if you budget $20 a week for gas and gas prices go up while your amount of driving stays the same, something has to give. And try to give yourself some flexibility for unexpected expenses or for an occasional treat for yourself. Not keeping track of your expenses can really throw off your budgeting, especially those small expenses that add up over time. Be sure to account for all of the money you spend, whether it's a fast food meal or a book. Spending online can be especially challenging to track, but generally you will receive a receipt by email or text. Keep those and include them in your budget as soon as you can. Your next step is to create a cash flow statement. Don't be intimidated by this term. It's just a way to track when money is spent. When you put a cash flow statement together with the spending plan, which tracks how money is spent, you'll have the big picture of what your income and expenses look like over time. A cash flow statement shows you when your money flows into and out of your account. If you want to keep your finances in good working order, timing matters. You'll want the bills you've included in your spending plan to be paid on time. One way to do this is to divide the cash flow statement into pay periods, listing income and expenses for each time frame, and then determine which bills get paid with each paycheck. For example, you may pay your rent out of the first paycheck of the month and make your car payment from the second paycheck of the month. If you're including a financial aid refund in your income, then think ahead to when you'll get your next financial aid check and figure out how much you'll take from your refund each month to cover your expenses. Most creditors will work with you to set up monthly due dates that work for your pay schedule. Using automatic debit payments for your regular bills can make life easier, but you may want to use a cash flow statement to make sure that you have enough money in your account to avoid overdraft and other bank fees. So how do you actually make this happen? There are lots of online banking, budgeting apps, and personal finance software options that can even help you track what you spend on different types of purchases. Keep in mind these methods won't automatically show pending checks or debits, so they may give you a false sense of security. Another option is using a pencil and paper in the form of a check register. We'll look at one of those in a minute, or a notebook you carry with you. Simply write down your ATM withdrawals, or the person or company you paid, the amount, and for what you paid. Another low-tech way to track and control your spending is the envelope system, which uses envelopes to stay on track. Place an amount of cash in envelopes equal to what you plan to spend in a specific category. For example, clothing, gas, eating out, and label each envelope with a category name. Throughout the month, you can take the cash you need from the envelopes, and when an envelope is empty, you're finished spending in that category. You can move money from one envelope to another, but that's a good sign that either you need to adjust your budget or that you need to cut back on your spending. Put more in the empty envelope category next month and less in the envelope from which you moved money. Even though it's a good idea to keep your money in a financial institution, this method may work best for those who don't have a bank account or are reluctant to use a bank. What does reconcile mean? It's just double checking that the records you're keeping, whether on paper or online, match up with your bank's records. Here's an example of how you can reconcile on paper using a check register. Reconciling allows you to catch any banking errors and helps you adjust for unexpected expenses that you may not have accounted for in your monthly planning. And it can help you spot suspicious activity on your account that could be due to identity theft or other kinds of fraud. At least every month, compare these records for accuracy and to know which transactions, such as ATM withdrawals, online payments, or checks, have and have not cleared the bank. You may receive your bank statements in the mail, but you probably also have access to your records through online banking, which can keep you very up to date on your spending. Now that you've learned why a spending plan is important and how to create one, keep in mind these steps for getting started on the path to financial wellness. Set goals. Short-term in the near future, medium range in the next few years, and long-term for later in life. Develop a plan for meeting the goals you've set for yourself. How much do you need to save up for each goal? When do you want to reach each goal? And what's your plan for making it happen? Track your spending, and over time you'll start to see patterns. What triggers you to buy things on impulse, or to eat out instead of cooking your own food? If you can learn to identify warning signs, you can begin to figure out how to avoid overspending. For example, if you have a tendency to spend way too much money on makeup or electronics, don't take your credit card with you on those trips. If you spend too much money at the grocery store because you don't make a shopping list, or you shop while you're hungry, you can instead plan your menu for the entire week ahead of time and make a list, or be sure to grab a snack before you head out the door. And finally, monitor how well you're sticking to your spending plan. You'll need to adjust it as you move through your life and career. If you would like to try completing a spending plan, visit the link provided. Do I really need this? In this section, we talk about what to do when you don't have enough income to cover your expenses, and how to tell the difference between needs and wants. So what do you do when your income isn't enough to cover your expenses? Thinking about your needs and wants can help you figure out what's most important to you as you work through matching up your income and expenses. What's a need? What do you have in order to live? Everyone needs basic things like food, water, clothing, and shelter. Then there are specific needs to you. You need to communicate, buy school supplies, maybe get back and forth to work or school. And we all have things that we want because they're convenient or bring us comfort. Maybe you really enjoy a fast food burger once in a while, so you choose to spend money on fast food. Or you stop at the corner store for milk on the way home, even though milk is cheaper at the out-of-the-way grocery store. Wants are the nice-to-haves. Not everybody will meet their needs in the same way, and we have a lot of flexibility in how much we meet our needs, based on our wants. For example, let's say you're a dedicated runner, and your running shoes are wearing out. You have choices when deciding how much to spend on those running shoes. It's all about figuring out your priorities. Sometimes how you meet your needs may have some constraints or limits. You may be able to take the bus to work and save a lot of money on transportation, but a construction worker may really need a large truck to haul materials to a job site, so he or she doesn't have a lot of choice in meeting that need. The one thing you can count on in life is change. What if you're living at home, but then decide to move out on your own? Where will you live? A dorm? A house? An apartment? You may want to live alone, but could you give up some privacy to have a roommate and save money? The level of your needs might also change. Your basic cell phone plan may be fine now, but not if you change to a new job with a lot of travel. At that point, having a smartphone with unlimited data would save tons of time and probably some money. We talked earlier about spending money on a want, like buying a fast food meal. Most people can cook and eat meals at home, but most people also choose to eat out. Eating out every day is expensive, but you probably don't have to completely stop. Could you instead make it a once-a-week treat? You can take a very tough approach by eliminating wants, but spending doesn't have to be all or nothing. Instead, consider using the step-down spending method. The step-down spending method helps you choose not only which expenses to cut, but also how much to cut each expense in order to spend less. First, identify how much you're currently spending in a particular category, and then decide how many levels, or steps down, you're willing to take. The result is a new spending plan. In going through this process, you may find less expensive choices that you never knew existed, but that can still meet your needs or wants. Some of the categories on this chart may not apply to you. For example, maybe you live at home with your parents, or maybe you don't pay for TV, but you do pay for streaming. The idea is that everyone has at least some of these expenses, and you almost always have some flexibility in choosing how much you spend. It's important in this process to be honest with yourself, honest about what really is a need or a want, and honest about creating a budget that you can stick to over time. Some good rules to follow in keeping your spending on track. Saving to buy something you really want, let's say it's the latest gaming system, costs less than buying it with borrowed money. In some cases, it might cost a lot less. That's because when you save money, you earn interest, and when you borrow money, you pay interest. Use a 2-day waiting period for any unplanned expense. Waiting to spend might also give you time to figure out how much you really want that item and possibly avoid impulse buying. When you do or buy something, you lose the opportunity to do or buy something else. Opportunity costs add to the price of something, so that the real price is more than you thought. Here's an example. If I buy a movie ticket for $10, I may give up the chance to work for 2 hours at my job, which pays $15 an hour. In this scenario, I just lost $30, which makes the real cost of the movie $40. To learn more about step-down spending or try priority setting exercises, visit the provided links. Please take a minute to complete our survey.